Thank you, everyone, for joining us today at Variety and NBC Universal's virtual FYC house for a fantastic panel. I am so excited today to have the pleasure to bring together one of Primetime's most beloved couples who are not actually a couple, although they have spent many years in the trenches together. Don't need a whole lot of introduction for Mariska Hargitay, star and producer of Law and Order SVU, and her longtime former co-star and now current co-star again, Chris Meloni, Detective Elliot Stabler, who has come back to the Law and Order universe now as the star of a new series, Law and Order Organized Crime. This show got off to a very big start for NBC earlier this year with a crossover episode with SVU that gave the fans the treat that they had been waiting for 11 years since Chris left the original Law and Order SVU. Benson and Stabler were back together on the beat, chasing down bad guys as the fans love to see them. So thank you both for taking time out to do this with us.
My pleasure.
Happy to be here.
You are one of the great platonic couples in primetime. Can you talk about, as actors, what it's like to play that? You are obviously so close, and your characters work so closely together, but what has it been like to build that relationship over time and now working on it again in front of the camera, but have it be between a man and a woman, but have it always be professional and platonic, with a lot of affection, but always platonic?
I find it very satisfying. I find the tension, and I'll leave it to the viewers what that tension is. Obviously sexual to many, and et cetera, but I think it's a multifaceted relationship and engagement. I think it is very human in that faults of the characters come out, and their pasts come out and inform how they engage each other. And those are, to me, some of the cornerstones of what we built with these two. Now coming back, I'll give you one word and I'll hand it over to my co-conspirator. It's comforting and comfortable.
Yeah, I would have to say, it's two words that are sort of, very different, but both are true. And one is utterly effortless and utterly earned. And it has been such a joy, because I think that Chris and I, from the minute we met, it was like, and it was a chemistry and an ease and a familiarity and a curiosity. And I think we connected on so many different levels, which is really a gift with any human being. But we went through so much in the first 12 years and dug so deep and had a very full relationship, and a very honest one and brave one. And we also experienced so much together for the first time that quite frankly, nobody, including our spouses, really understood, because we lived something and we created this baby together, being Law and Order Special Victims Unit. And then having him leave was obviously so painful for me and so hard, because the way he left, there was no closure. There was just a big hole. And so now coming back again, incredibly earned within the writing, there's so much to play, and yet it's sort of effortless because it's true and we have been apart. So it's been a joy. And Chris said comforting, comfortable, but it's so much fun because we work so hard on the scenes, and then we throw it all away and it's right here and it's always right there. And one of the, I think, biggest compliments that I received, and I receive still, is I like it best when there's no words, when you guys are just looking at each other, because I feel it all. And for me, that's like, that means it's, because I think we're pretty locked in and dialed into each other. And so that's been a joy and a pleasure to find.
I had to smile when you said the first 12 years. Most TV shows don't last 12 episodes.
Right.
But
who says that?
I mean, it really is amazing that these relationships have had the time to develop as if
Yeah.
so tell me about the process of Chris, for you coming back, reconnecting with the character that you hadn't hung out with in about a decade, a little more.
Things in my personal life fell into place, which made it correct and right for me to say yes to the offer. The buildup of anticipation and expectation leading up to it was the most unnerving part. I was a bit surprised at how much clarity I had as I was thinking about the character, where he'd been, what he'd done, and I worked on it with the showrunners. And I was very pleased with what we had hammered out, his backstory. I thought it was imperative that there be a certain amount of growth. You know, there'll always be, I mean, I think I carry a natural spirit of, you know, kind of vibrating, drivingness. You know, when you're a younger man with a little more testosterone, you're ecstatic. You know, you don't have as good a hold on it, right? You know, you explode out your emotions and your feelings. And I was very concerned about that. I just felt that, you can possibly forgive that in a younger person, but when you get older, that's just an unattractive quality. So I just had to kind of figure out state where he is in his evolution, and then with what we got with Eileen Chaikin in the new organized crime series, how we introduced Stabler, under what circumstances, and we set him on the journey. It was very satisfying to me, and I felt as though we had placed him in a pretty dark hole, and a lot of balls to juggle. His relationship with Benson, his relationship to this new dynamic in the world, this relationship of coming back to the old home, the old stomping grounds, but a different man, a different person. And then when I hit the ground, and I hit the ground with my partner, that shocked me at how, it was immediate. It was effortless. It was, I don't think we had that much of community. We didn't chit chat that. It was what Mariska was saying about the silence. It was, we just instinctively knew how to dance or to, it was very animal. It felt very animal, which is, we know what the scene is. We know what's been written. Let's go out and play. Let's go out and get into each other. That's what my journey was and is.
As a producer, did you have input in how, the introduction of Benson and Stabler again? Did you have some say in that?
I've been working on this for 10 years.
Yes, you did.
And he knows it. It took a lot of work to figure out Chris's reentry and Stabler's reentry. There were so many pieces. His new show and our show and how we were going to do that. And it took a lot. And I have to, again, pay homage to, again, Eileen Chaikin, Chris's showrunner, who's just amazing. And our team, Warren Light and Julie Martin. And, this was all during COVID, and we had to change the story so many times because there were setbacks and timing issues and blah, blah, blah. And there was so much work. It was insane, all the iterations of the crossover and what that was and how it was. And so much care was taken. And it was so important to us. And we wanted it to be honoring and perfect. And that's a big responsibility. So I really felt like we had the A-team. Chris and my communication is a gift because we know each other so well. And not only just know each other, but I think trust each other. There's so much trust, and that's everything, certainly in acting, everything. I wish it on all actors because it's such a unicorn, this show, and I don't know that this will happen again. And so I'm so very aware of the historic nature of it and how lucky and blessed we've been. But but also what an honor it's been for us that we understood always. So it was so beautiful because our first time on set, again, it was just boom, we're back, like no time had passed. And that was a little bit mind-blowing to both of us. But also when I saw his walk, it brought me back immediately because Chris is such an incredible comedian. I mean, oh, that's a Freudian slip. I meant to say chameleon, but comedian as well. And so when I first met him, I remember, because I was, I'm from Los Angeles, to play a New York City cop was a tall order for me, and I had much to learn over these years. And Chris had this strut and was such a New York City street urchin, and I remember going, I gotta practice.
I'm sorry. I feel as though you're confessing to having stared at my cake for 22 years.
Okay, sweetheart, that's all in see, this is where it gets delusional. Here's the line and you've just crossed it. But anyway.
No, I feel uncomfortable in the workspace.
So do I. That's what's weird. But I remember seeing his walk, and for some reason, when he walked on set this time around, I went, there he is. There he is. And it was such a physical embodiment. And I remember going, and we're back. And it's in your body when you do something. I mean, for me, 37 years, and for Chris, 12 years, it's just in your body. And there was so much beautiful muscle memory. And then the part that was so cool was, here we were, utterly different characters 12 years later, 13 years later. And that was fun to fit the puzzle piece together. And we're still doing that.
They really came up with a very creative and intriguing way to reintroduce Stabler. Mm-hmm. And organized crime is also a departure from the Law and Order kind of universe, in that it is a very serialized story across 8 episodes, as opposed to a more, contained case of the week type stories. Mm-hmm. Chris, how was that for you in terms of coming back into the Law and Order universe, but being a little less ka-ching than in the past?
Well, when Dick invited me to chit chat about the project, he goes, and it's going to be eight episodes. And I said, well, that's fantastic, because I've been doing shorter segmented shows since I've left. Right, 8 episodes a season will be perfect. And then they broke it to me, no, 8, 3 times a year. When I heard that, I found it very attractive, because I felt as though the Wolf people were committed to telling their stories in a different format. I felt as though, just like when SVU started, they were the marching orders were, because it used to be, I don't want personal, I just want procedural. That's how Law and Order, the original Law and Order, just wanted to, just the facts, ma'am. And then with Benson and Stabler, he said, let's get a little personal, right? So, give a little eyedropper a little glimpse of our personal lives. If I thought there was going to be a chance for a more cinematic way of telling a story, both visually and on the page, you'd be able to get, great actors who are looking for this, an 8 episode gig to park themselves and really kind of dig into a character, dig into a story. So it was very attractive.
SVU still does the long haul of 22, sometimes 24, if I'm not mistaken, episodes a year. When you hear 8 at a time, are you envious, or are you a long hauler?
A little envious. No, it's a grind, and it's a marathon, and it's difficult doing that many shows a year, but it's been blessed. The tone that we sort of set together, which we both have, it's just the way we both run our sets, is a set that is joyful, and there's a lot of comedy. It is. He and I kept each other laughing for so many years, and what we did, and yet the work was so focused and always upping our game and always striving to be better. And, now people always say to me, like, they can't believe it. The guest actors are like, is is your set always like this? Is this how it is? Because the actors love each other. I mean, truly. And yet the work is so good, and we're all always helping each other. And the show brings me so much joy. And I feel so honored to tell these stories. And the fact that our show is about something. I'm sure you heard this story that's in the press about this incredibly brave little girl that had the wherewithal to get blue slime. I get choked up thinking about it. But I have chills now. These are the moments, when people come up to us and approach us and say, your show changed my life, or I learned about saving DNA, and the brave women that have come forward, the gift that fuels us to keep going. And, I pinch myself to be in a situation to be able to do what I love to do and get better at it every day and work on it every day and be able to make a difference. So it's a good job.
Listen, not everybody recognizes the privilege, what a true privilege it is to have an hour of prime time to speak to America. And as a mom, I'm getting choked up too. I can't, there was and I'm preparing for this panel, preparing to talk to you very excitedly. And this morning, and I'm thinking, how can we capture what does Law and Order mean? The franchise. If you're in the business, you just cannot have anything but just immense respect for a franchise that can be that big and this vital, going on 30 years, almost 35 years after it premiered. And I'm watching the morning news, and there was an incredible story, complete with video of an 11-year-old girl in Florida who it's every parent's nightmare. Somebody pulls up, a horrible person runs out of the car, tries to grab her, and she runs the other way. And the story afterwards was that she had enough presence of mind, this young girl, she was playing with a blue slime thing. She put it on his shoulder, on his clothing. And afterwards, and she got away. And when she told the police, she said, well, I'd seen that on Law and Order SVU as a way to protect yourself and also provide some evidence.
The fact that she had the wherewithal, because as we all know, any kind of fear or trauma fractures the mind and certainly splits the mind. And, we dissociate, we do so many things, but we definitely shut down as animals. And the fact that this little girl had the wherewithal to do that is so mind blowing. And I woke up, that was the news that I woke up to this morning. And I thought I actually thought oh, my life is complete. This little girl is safe. This little girl is safe and unharmed. And what an incredible lesson to all of us. But the fact that she had the wherewithal is still we still have to metabolize and sort of grok it, because it was amazing. So, but we hear that a lot. I knew not to take a shower to keep the DNA on our body. The show has affected people in such profound ways. And, we hear it all the time, and it is, fuel that keeps us going, but that makes you want to run to work, not walk.
Its ubiquity is also one of the things, not just in the US, but around the world is just, again, so it just makes it so powerful. Did you gain perspective in your time away?
Honestly, no. I knew rather quickly, maybe by the second year of SVU, when the fan mail would come in and the people confessing about what our show meant to them, men and women. I had an interviewer one time say to me, they called me back afterwards and said, I got to be honest with you. Something had happened to me when I was 5 years old, and I guess it happened for a bit of time. And he said, I find myself wishing an Elliot Stabler were there to take care of things. I think the word's profound. It's humbling. It gives you a certain sense of marching order and ownership. It's you have to earn this experience of trauma that they are confessing to you and leaving in your lap, which you gratefully take on. And Mariska, more than I, with her joyful heart, she putting all of these experiences into action. I felt it, and I felt honored by it, and I took it seriously. You go into it, it's a job. I'm an actor, great. I finally have a job, and then you get picked up. You're like, I'm actually an actor. I'm going to continue to be an actor. This is fantastic, and I'm entertaining people. And that we're storytellers. And then slowly you get, as you said, the width and breadth of it, the worldwide kind of, you're traveling through Paris and, almost talking to you in French, wherever it may be. So I really didn't need to step away to understand and appreciate. And yeah.
Mariska, I know you have gone behind the camera and a number of episodes in the last couple of years, since 2014, I think. What has the process of directing taught you about the juggernaut that is SVU?
Ooh, listen, it all started again with Chris and I, and on set, and we'd always dissect every scene, figure out what we do better, whether it was ourselves mostly, but even that we'd like, well, that needs to be done, that needs to be. It was a never ending assessment and learning. And sometimes, you learn sometimes more by what's not right than what's right, because when an actor is doing so brilliant, it seems so effortless and you just believe it and you're drawn in. But when it's not working, then you go in there and you start chiseling away. And so after doing it for so long, I've been learning so much, and I realized I felt like I could fix anything performance, or I started to get so much sharper. And I was so invested I started getting, more invested in other people's acting than my own. And I hope that doesn't show, but it happened. And so that was my initial sort of draw, because I'd been telling these stories for so long. But then you direct, and it's a completely different side of your brain. And I was so lucky because I got to direct in my own backyard. So I had an incredible amount of support and all these amazing directors that, I had, you start to have a very collaborative, it's such a collaborative medium. And we all had worked together so long that we had so much shorthand. And so, obviously Ted Kotcheff, one of the great directors, was our directing producer. And then we had all these amazing people that had these veterans in the business that I started sort of shadowing and studying, and I'd learned so much. I've only directed 7 episodes.
Only.
Well, listen, out of 7,025,000 that I've been on. But it's been an honor and a pleasure. And every year I'm like, should I do it again this year or not? Because I have a very healthy respect and fear of it. And what's been my experience is, more than you think you do, which is one of the great things Ted Kotcheff told me. And I've had, again, so many mentors, but each director brings something different. And so I sort of know what I bring. Obviously, it's a little bit more performance based. And I'm still learning so much about the camera and how it works. And I think that's going to be a lifelong endeavor for me. But I know that I love telling stories. And then Dick Wolf's comes out with a new series every 20 minutes. So it looks like I'm going to be really busy acting. So I don't even know if I'll be able to.
We wanted to keep these all very professional, but I have to ask one fan question. So
do I have, these are my candles? Was that your question? Are they not the most fabulous thing ever?
They're awesome.
The level of fan love for you two it's
staggering. It's staggering.
That's a good word. Staggering is the word. Yeah.
It's staggering.
If you two were in control of the script, would Stabler and Benson ever have a love connection?
I think there is a universe. Yeah, there's a world. A real world where that could happen. The journey there, though, would have to be, she often uses the word, or it just has to be earned. You have to, where they are right now and what they have to grapple with personally and professionally, and I would argue especially Stabler, it's miles down the road.
I concur. And, we're figuring it out. And that's the, deep surgery and care that we take.
And that's the fun. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, that's the fun that we're having right now. It's that two people who love each other and they love each other, finding out how to place themselves in a plane that's comfortable and effective and nurturing and healthy and all that, with juggling the children and everything. It's a pretty heavy situation, and that's a fun situation to play.
Noah Benson Stabler.
Wow. Hold on. Let me. Maybe we should. Maybe.
I think just this conversation is going to break the internet. So, well, and the funny thing is that I was told that although you both are intense actors and run very dramatic shows, that you are both actually very kind of goofy and have very rich senses of humor, and that has absolutely come through here, as is your affection and professional respect for each other. It's really heartening in a world where we hear so much about unhappy sets. It's really heartening to see this clear friendship and really rich professional partnership.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being part of this.
Oh, thank you so much.